Well, we are always so pleased to see people other than city staff in the audience. And you know, of course, that the doors are automatically locked now, so nobody leaves until council's over, regardless of when you appear on the agenda. The first item is the consent agenda. This is a listing of a group of items to be acted upon with a single motion and vote. This agenda is designed to expedite the handling of limited routine matters by City Council. I will ask if a citizen or a council member wishes to have any specific item removed from the consent agenda for discussion, and at that time, either a member of the public or a council member may request that an item be removed prior to the council's vote. The items on tonight's consent agenda include approval of the work session regular meeting minutes for March the 13th, 2018, approval of the expenditure vouchers for March the 27th, 2018, approval of a renewal retail marijuana store license for Durango Organics, approval of a special event permit for the Cortez Area Chamber of Commerce for the business after hours that will be held on March the 29th at Wines Insurance on Main Street, approval of a special event permit for Montezuma Land Conservancy to host the Year Park Trail Maintenance Day on May the 5th at the Year Trailhead on Road Elm. So at this time, is there any member of council or any member of the audience that would like to see any of these items removed? All right. May I have a motion, please, then?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the addition of $42,854.66.
Second.
Archibald?
Aye.
Carlson? Aye. Keel?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
McLaughlin? Aye. Sheik?
Aye. Whose is it? We have a presentation at this point. And it's amazing to me that a year's already passed and you guys are back again. We're glad to see you again. Child Abuse Awareness Month proclamation this evening. So if you would like to give a presentation, and then I can read the proclamation and go from there.
I'd just like to start by thanking the City Council for hosting us once again this evening. Like I said last year, what a handsome City Council. It's one of the most beautiful groups of legislators I've ever seen in my entire life. So
I've thought that for a long time as well.
yeah, I just thought I'd state the obvious.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Happy to help.
And what
As
do you
know
exactly
that,
do you think flattery will get you?
What's that?
What exactly do you think flattery will get you here?
Everything. I'm hoping. As you know, child abuse is not only an important issue across the country, but also right here in our community. Nationwide, a report of child abuse happens every 10 seconds. The U.S. has one of the worst records among all nations, losing an average of between 4 and 7 children every single day to child abuse and neglect in this country. Every year, there are more than 3.6 million referrals that are made to child protection agencies involving more than 6.6 million children. The Four Corners Child Advocacy Center is proud to be one of those agencies fighting child abuse and neglect in all of its forms. That's why we're here once again in front of you to ask you to declare April as Child Abuse Awareness Month. We're planning many of the same activities that we had in the past, and we've added a few more. We once again would like to ask the council's permission to paint Montezuma and Main Streets blue with blue ribbons tied to the trees on those streets. We also are going to be doing outreach in the local schools that will result in the creation of a field of pinwheels at the Welcome Center on Main Street. And one of the side benefits, of course, will be having local students who are much more wise about child abuse and neglect. Very soon, you'll see a dramatic new billboard on the east end of town warning abusers that we are all on notice and that we take child abuse very seriously. Also, you will be able to go blue at many of the local hair salons this year to show your support all month long. Again, I'd like to thank you for doing a proclamation for us this evening and giving us permission to bluify our community on Montezuma and Main Streets. Thank you so much for your continued support of this great cause and of our organization.
Well, we thank you for being dedicated to this and giving your time and your care and concern. So it's us who should be thanking you, really. Proclamation for Child Abuse Awareness Month. Whereas preventing child abuse and neglect is a community problem that depends on involvement among people throughout the community. And whereas child maltreatment occurs when people find themselves in stressful situations without community resources and don't know how to cope. And whereas the majority of child abuse cases stem from situations and conditions that are preventable in an engaged and supportive community. And whereas child abuse and neglect not only harms children, but also increases the likelihood of criminal behavior, substance abuse, health problems such as heart disease and obesity, and risky behavior such as smoking. And whereas the citizens of Colorado should become involved in supporting families and raising their children in a safe, nurturing environment. Whereas effective child prevention programs succeed because partnerships created among social services agencies, schools, faith communities, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas child maltreatment knows no social or economic boundaries and occurs in every neighborhood in America. Now, therefore, I, Karen W. Sheik, Mayor of Cortez, and in such capacity, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2018 as Child Abuse Awareness Month in the city of Cortez. And I would encourage all citizens of this great community to show that they care by committing themselves to fighting child abuse and neglect, because it's really all of our problems. As has famously been said on many occasions, it takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village to protect a child as well. So. Vote on the fact that we're going to allow them to put out pinwheels and make Montezuma and Main blue?
Well, they can paint the Main Street blue, that's fine with me.
Should we get a photo for the paper?
Matt. You guys are like just standing there holding hands.
Should get all Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Very cool. The doors really are locked, guys. We weren't joking.
Matt, I just had a question for you. Do you guys still sell the T-shirts anymore or not?
We sure do. We've got actually a really cool design this year that you can either get through the Child Advocacy Center or through Running. They have their, and on our website as well.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you all
Thanks,
for
guys.
coming. All right, at this time, I would like to open the floor to citizen participation. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to address council on any issue that's not on the agenda, this is your first opportunity to step to the podium. And yes, please, if you'll state your name and your address.
I don't know which one of these to get to. I am Jan Gardner, and I live at 425 South Beach Street. And I'm here this evening to let the council know that Beehive Homes at the Cortez Homestead is within weeks of being done. And we are going to, I'm having the open house on April 7th. And I wanted to extend a personal invitation to each of you. It's going to be noon to 6.
Say that
And-
again, when to when?
April 7th, from noon to 6.
Noon to 6,
p.m.
okay.
That is a Saturday. Come and go as you're able. I'm just real excited to have this project done and have an assisted living for dementia care available to our community. And I have an invitation for all of you, if I may approach.
Yes, absolutely. You know, it's funny because I was just thinking about you the other day and wondering how far from being done you were. So,
We're decorating now.
oh, well, that's the fun part.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll try to send out a reminder. Is there anybody else that would like to address council? All right. In that case, we'll move on to public hearings. Be sure I didn't skip something. Ordinance number 1239, Series 2018, Tracy, the land use code on schools.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. As you may recall, a couple weeks ago, we talked about amending the land use code to allow schools in the open zoning district through a conditional use permit. And this ordinance would enable that to happen. Basically, the reason is because currently it's blank, which means it's neither permitted or conditional. And we would like to allow it in the open zoning district because we think it's a fairly compatible use in that district, and it also kind of serves as a pseudo-institutional zoning district because we do have other municipal and government-type buildings there. Currently, there's other things that you could do in the open zoning district that are similar to a school, including fitness clubs, churches, municipal facilities, and such. So this came about because the Justice Building is up for sale from the county, and this would allow there to be one more potential future use in that location. So staff recommends approval of this ordinance.
And I can't remember whether I asked this question the last time or not, but they're just waiting for us to finalize this, and then are they ready? Is Kiva actually ready to move forward at that point?
They're actually going to Planning Commission next Tuesday unless this doesn't happen.
Okay.
So, because they're, you know, you can expect, they're kind of trying to get everything lined out before next September. So.
Okay. Well, council members, does anybody have any questions about this? This is the second reading, so. Okay, at this point, I will open it to public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak for or against this ordinance? All right, seeing no one, I'm closing the public hearing. If there are no other comments or questions, may I have a motion, please?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to approve on second reading ordinance number 1239, Series 2018, an ordinance amending section 3.05A of the Land Use Code to allow a school, public, private, and church through a conditional use permit in the open zoning district.
Second.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin. Aye. Carlson.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Archibek.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye.
Thanks.
Hallelujah. Well, it will be nice to see us move forward on this. Ordinance number 1251, Mike, the creating of a Board of Appeals for the City of Cortez.
Each of the uniform codes we adopt for the building department, the planning and building department, has in it its own Board of Appeals, and that gets confusing because we end up with 6 or 8 different boards. So what this ordinance does is creates one board. Arguably, we're going to use the Board of Appeals and what will be called the Board of Adjustments and Appeals from the Land Use Code. And what we're doing here is deleting from each of the uniform codes their appeal board provision and replacing it with ours. Staff has looked at this and thinks it'll be easier to have one board to hear all the appeals. And so staff recommends approval.
Are there any questions, council? Comments? All right, then I will open this to public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak for or against creating a single Board of Appeals for the city? Seeing no one step forward, may I have a motion?
I make a motion approving the final reading of the ordinance 1251, Series 2018, creating a Board of Appeals for the City of Cortez.
My second. McLaughlin. Aye. Archibek.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 1252, final reading for approving the purchase of real estate for Mr. Keith Evans. Shane.
Thank you, Your Honor. City identified the priority of purchasing the Evans parcel during its 2017 strategic plan. Critical success factor number 4 was to create and maintain a livable community, and the stated goal number 5 was to purchase this parcel. Staff has been in discussion with Mr. Evans. We are in agreement as to the value of the property and the anticipated time frame. So basically, I think later this week, early next week, we'll sit down with Mr. Evans and close. The appraised value following the conservation easement is $50,000 or $1,000 per acre. The purchase price was placed in the 2018 budget. I was hoping that Keith would be here tonight because I just want to say that, you know, the city's been leasing this parcel from him for $1 a year for quite a few years. I think he has such a great community spirit. I mean, you know, really, even though we're purchasing this, you know, we're paying the man $1,000 an acre. So I just don't want it to get lost of, you know, just what an unusual giving person that Mr. Evans is, and the fact that he wants this to be around for us to use and our children and our grandchildren. It isn't an opportunity that the city gets that often. So I just want to commend him, and I think if you see him on the street, you know, let him buy the drinks. He just got $50,000, but definitely pat him on the back anyway. So I just
But tell him how much we appreciate it
right
while we're drinking.
Yeah, but it is. So I just want to commend him, and I think that you know, he shows kind of the best in people, and I appreciate working with him and how easy this has been. And we would never be here if he didn't have that like nice civic kind of community spirit. So anyway, yeah. So with that, we're recommending the approved ordinance 1252.
Okay. Are there any questions, council?
I don't have any.
Then I'll open this up for public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to speak for or against this? Seeing no one step forward, close public hearing. May I have a motion?
Honorable Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve on final reading ordinance number 1252, Series 2018, approving the purchase of real estate for Mr. Keith Evans.
Second.
Carlson.
Aye.
Archibek.
Aye.
McLaughlin. Aye. Lucero. Sheep.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Sorry. You guys are backwards today.
Wait a minute. Who's back?
I did have
I'm backwards.
a couple of meetings ago, Mike, I had asked about mineral rights. Was that there going to be any kind of impediment based on things like that, or
Is there any
easements?
kind of what?
Anything that could, you know, any problems with that?
The conservation easement that we're also getting pretty much restricts them and
Okay.
limits them. And I'm still not sure that they're there or not, or who
Yeah.
has them. But this land is subject to a conservation easement, which Dean is going to get to know and love as he does things out there, because there's some restrictions.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Moving on to new business. Rosa, would you talk to us about the proclamation for the Arbor Day celebration?
Good evening.
I think this is the first time you've been here, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it's nice to see
Good
you.
evening, Madam Mayor, council members. The Arbor Day celebration is an annual event sponsored by the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board. A proclamation is done to comply with Tree City USA requirements. We have been a member of Tree City USA for 26 years. Our program is geared towards 4th grade classes in Montezuma County. We found that they are most responsive and damage to city trees has been reduced over time. We do use Arbor Day as, I guess, a moment to be recognized. And we also offer an educational contest, poster, and poem. And the local banks in Osprey make donations to contribute for prizes. The fiscal impact is $2,000 to $2,500 for t-shirts, which is already budgeted in the 2018 general fund. We recommend that council approves the official proclamation to declare Arbor Day celebration for Cortez area to be held on Thursday, April 19th, 2018.
All right, council, are there any questions? This is always a nice event, I think, that the city does.
Yeah, what time is that? What time does it start?
It starts at 12:30 and it goes until about 2 p.m.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments, council?
I have none. Thank you for doing that. I know my oldest boy really enjoyed it when he got to be a part of that. Unfortunately, he had his father's artistic ability, so he didn't win the poster contest. He really did have a lot of fun. He really praised it, so thank you.
We're still missing some trees.
Well, may I have a motion? Mr.
no.
Mayor Pro Tem, or?
Okay. I make a motion to approve the official proclamation to declare the Arbor Day celebration for the Cortez area to be held on Thursday, April 19th, 2018.
I will second. Archibald?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
McLaughlin? Aye. Carlson?
Aye.
Sheik?
Aye. Keith, you came in just a
We were just
few
singing your
minutes too
praises.
late. Yes, were your ears burning as you were walking through the door? Yeah, we just finished. And one of the things that one of the remarks that Shane made was that he was sorry that you weren't here, because we wanted to express, as representatives of this community, how much we appreciate the contribution that you've made, your civic-minded approach, and how wonderful you've been to work with as we've worked through this process. It's a great legacy for not only the people that are here right now, but for those that will be here after we are. So it's been a wonderful thing. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, well, it takes two sides. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I would encourage you, if you would like to actually see the motion, you can go on the city's website and click on the streaming, and then you can look up in the agenda and find out exactly what was said, even though you weren't here, so.
I have to say, this whole process with the easement, everything else, everybody, really pretty good to work with. Shane, just been awesome. Everything.
Yeah.
Good.
Been a good experience. I'm glad they were getting that.
Great. And we're going to celebrate after the meeting with your $50,000. Let's really go out. Let's have some steaks and let's just do it. Checks in the mail, Keith, but you can afford it, buddy. Let's go.
Well, they,
Yeah, he suggested that we invite ourselves to have you buy drinks for us, but we'll tell you how wonderful you are as you pay for them.
Well, we'll toast to your health until you run out of money. It'll be a good night.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Appreciate it.
All right, the 2018 Ball Field Playground Structure Project bid. Rosa?
Yeah, they just throw me right in. The City of Cortez Park Maintenance staff removed the old playground structure at the South Softball Complex site in the spring of 2017. There are some pictures on the back pages as well for you guys. We removed it due to safety and playground certification issues. As a result, the City Parks and Recreation staff has researched numerous playground structures and selected one model that will accommodate the targeted age group of 5 to 12-year-olds and has a capacity of up to 46 youth. We also have that picture on the very last page, the design concept. Bids were opened on Wednesday, March 21st, with 2 bids submitted, and the lowest bidder being A to Z Recreation out of Littleton, Colorado. The bid of $27,595 to furnish and install one brick playground structure located at the South Softball Complex site. The other bidder was RAK Quality Construction out of Bloomfield, New Mexico. with a bid of $38,722. The bid from A to Z was under the budgeted amount of $30,000 by $2,405. The staff recommends to move to approve the A to Z recreation bid of $27,595 to furnish and install one Newburgh playground structure at the South Softball Complex.
Honorable City Council and Mayor, I'd like to also let you know that RAK Quality Construction, I received a call from that gentleman yesterday, and he was quite upset about the bid. And in conversations with him, the two main areas he was upset about was the limiting of the playground equipment to Burke, which the city does basically to standardize for getting parts and keeping things up and going. And the other part of his frustration was Burke, as a manufacturer, has regional distributors. And in this case, A to Z is also the distributor. And he had some problems getting pricing out of Burke till the last minute. We did accommodating on how to get the bid in, but last I spoke to him, I asked him to put his concerns in writing, and as of tonight, I have not received anything. But I did want to let City Council be aware of that.
Okay.
And I would just add that the city attorney and I discussed it. I understand that he's frustrated, but I don't think it has anything to do really with the city's bidding process. I think that we're well within our right to spec a particular manufacturer for those reasons. And if he had concerns that the Parks and Rec director gave A to Z some inside information, or we didn't advertise appropriately, I think that would be a reason to not award it. But because he's more frustrated with, some things that are really out of our control, staff is still recommending that we award it to the low bidder. We just wanted you to be aware of that in case, he does ever put it in writing, but he's had, ample time, I'd say 30 hours from Rick's phone call to give something in writing to look at.
Sounds to me like really his grievances with the other company.
That's right. That's right. And I did speak to Dean Palmquist earlier, and he said that A to Z, if this gentleman had called them, like they actually work with people too. So I think that instead of calling the regional distributor, he called the big company and maybe didn't get the answers he wanted. So it might have just been his actually understanding of kind of where to go through, and not even as much the company. But again, yeah, I don't see any issues with the city's bidding process or anything we've done on our end, and so staff is recommending that we award to the low bidder.
Okay. So the unit that we're going to get is going to look like this?
Yes.
Same colors?
The colors haven't been decided, but I was leaning towards the same colors.
And the children come with it too?
That would be lovely, right? They all look happy.
They're extra.
They're extra. Okay. All right. Are there any questions, Council?
I have none.
May I have a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I would like to make a motion to award the 2018 Ball Field Playground Structure Project bid to A&Z Recreation for a bid amount of $27,595 to furnish and install one new Burke playground structure located at the South Softball Complex.
Second.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Sheet.
Aye. Thank you, Rosa. You did a good job
you.
for the first time.
I taught her everything she knows.
Yeah.
You did good, Russ.
Yeah, we couldn't
that's
tell.
not true.
She did really well. That's great.
That's why she was so comfortable over here. I was here.
You're just good, buddy. You're just good.
I would like to recommend that we take item number C
Oh, wait.
and place it at the end of item G. Could we do that?
I'll second and third that.
I wish you were up for election next Tuesday.
Well, Mr. Major, we are so happy to see you this evening.
Thank you.
Share with us.
Okay, I will regale you this evening. We have, for the first time, a proposed hangar construction at the airport, first time in 10 years. And it's been a long time coming, but I'm happy to move forward with it. It'll be on the south end of what we now refer to as Hangar Row, adjacent to the south portion of the tie-down ramp. Mr. Lane Kim is going to construct the hangar for strictly his own personal aircraft storage. Mr. Lane Kim is here this evening, and it would be poor behavior on my part and shallow of me to blame him for any mistakes that may be in the lease presentation this evening, so I think I will. On the first page in my memo, the only page in my memo, I have a mistake in the fiscal impacts. This is in relation to the hangar size, which I got wrong in the lease as well. So on the first page of the lease, under Section 1, Description of Property, the hangar lot will measure 75.33 feet wide and 68 feet deep. So the figures that are in the lease are incorrect. The total square footage is 5,122.44 square feet.
Well,
So
just
I wanna
a
bring
minute,
that
if the
to light
measurements are smaller,
before
then
we-
why is the square footage bigger?
I'm sorry?
If the measurements are smaller, why is the square footage bigger?
What,
Is that right?
I didn't use apparently the measurements on that first line for the total square footage.
You really need to work on how you
Yeah, I know.
regale people.
My math is going to heck. But Rosa was here with her calculator and helped me out. So we'll double check that before we
Before we sign anything.
send it off to Mr. Lane Kim. So this is a 40-year land lease. It's very similar to the one we did 1 year ago this month. And the only changes would be the principals involved. So Mike has gone through this, and he's happy with it. He and I have structured this over and over again over the last few years, and I think we've got a working agreement going forward. So it's a good template. Are there any questions?
Any questions, Council?
No. Mr. Kim, you've seen all these numbers or the changes in it, you're satisfied with it all?
I reserve my comments on that at this time, because of the square footage. And the only question I had was because of the fact that we're leasing more in such a smaller hangar, more land than we're using.
Mr. Kim, I'm sorry, it'd be better for you to go up to the podium just because the record can't hear you. I mean, we can hear you,
Right
but
over here.
it'd be for the recording for posterity. In 50 years, you could tell your grandkids to come and read the minutes.
Either one, that was probably better.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, the only comment I would have to say, because general aviation and the condition of general aviation, the way it is now and the way it's progressing, the land lease, my only comment about the land leases is we're paying for, as a person who's leasing this property, we're paying for more land that we're not using than the land we are using. So relative to other areas, which is hard to compare, because a land lease in, say, Barstow, California, and versus a land lease in Burbank, California, you know, per square foot is quite different. But, you know, because our town is a smaller, you know, town, but we do get, you know, we get transient parking or transient aircraft that come in and like to stop here because it's one of the good spots to stop. I'm appreciative that I can actually build my hangar here. It's just that, you know, if there was any change down the road to try to incentivize the more people to build hangars, I think that by reducing either the price per square foot or reducing the extra land that you have to lease that you really can't use other than parking, or maybe like Russ was saying, well, people put LP tanks nearby or want them to heat their property, or parking. Well, most of the people don't park other than maybe one or two vehicles near their hangar. So that's the only thing I have to say about that. Other than that, it's a great little airport. We really like it.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Good, thank you. All right. Council, are there any other questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the 40-year land lease for the hangar construction lot S-8 at the airport with Lane Kim.
Second.
And Council, I would just say as, well, with the mathematical corrections to that, after us has had a chance to look and do those calculations. So it's going to
We recommend the lease as corrected.
Yeah, so just the lease as corrected. Just want to be, okay.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Sheet.
Aye. The 2018 outdoor janitorial bid. Dean?
Yes, I get the exciting one here,
Yes.
outdoor janitorial bid. I just want to say prior with the playground project that Rosa presented, one of the reasons, because she put a lot of time and effort into helping research which playground. I think it's great opportunities such as that to utilize your staff and, you know, so they get buy-in and ownership of what goes into your facilities. So
She
she's
did a
done
nice
great
job.
Yeah, she's a lot more pleasant than you are, Dean. You can send her for other things, too.
Exactly. She had this,
Maybe he can get a...
definitely than
maybe-
Russ. I mean, it
Yeah.
kind of
Maybe you can
goes
get
up
some
here,
lessons from
down
her for
here
your
with Russ, and
presentations.
me in the middle somewhere, so. Anyway, our previous cleaning company notified us in the latter part of 2017 that they were not going to continue their outdoor janitorial contract into 2018. As long as the company keeps the same rate, the city allows the company to carry over their contract into the next year, which probably a lot of the council, you've never heard about this bid before, as far as, you know, because we've carried the same company for so many years. So the outdoor janitorial bid includes any park or sport facility restrooms as follows: City Park, Parque de Vida, Centennial Park, Montezuma Park, Denny Lake Park, and the South Softball Complex. The outdoor janitorial contract covers a 5-month period from early May to early October and consists of a once-a-day cleaning for 7 days per week. The bids were opened on Wednesday, February 28th, with 2 bids submitted, and the lowest bidder being Bravo Cleaning and Restoration out of Cortez, Colorado, with a bid of $10,762.50. The other bidder was Monica's Cleaning Service out of Cortez, Colorado, with a bid of $17,500. The bid of $10,762.50 is under the budgeted amount of $11,700 by $937.50. And I did do some research. One of the references was Wiminuche Construction, and they use Bravo Cleaning Services and have been very happy with their services.
All right. Are there any questions, council?
I have none.
May I have a motion, please?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to approve the Bravo Cleaning and Restoration bid of $10,762.50 for janitorial services at the city's park and sport facility restrooms.
Second.
Lucero.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Sheet.
Aye. All right. Appointment to the Parks, Recreation, Forestry Advisory Board. Dean?
Yes, we almost have a full board once again, at least with the adults. I think we're short one youth position, so the Parks, Recreation, Forestry Advisory Board for the City of Cortez consists of 9 voting members. All members shall be Montezuma County residents. Currently, 1 adult vacancy exists. The city has received 1 letter of interest from Kenneth Quigley. The Parks and Recreation Forestry Advisory Board members discussed Kenneth Quigley serving on the advisory board at their Friday, March 23rd meeting, and have given their unanimous support for Kenneth Quigley to serve a 2-year term on the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board. For this evening, the City Council may either choose to interview the candidate prior to making its decision, or it could forego the interview and simply base its decision upon review of his letter of interest and the recommendation of the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board.
All right, council. Questions about this, comments?
trust your judgment as usual in this type of matter.
I just want to make one comment. I think when you see the letter of interest was really strong with a landscaping architect background, and I think, that's what I'm excited about with the different advisory board members. I think we have a good variety of advisory board members, and he would bring another strength to that advisory board.
Okay. All right, may I have a motion, please?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to appoint to the Parks, Recreation, and Forest Advisory Board Mr. Kenneth Quigley.
Second.
Archibald?
Aye.
McLaughlin?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Sheik?
Aye. All right, insurance brokerage services. Matt?
Good evening, council
First time.
and mayor. The city has used Wells Fargo for our insurance brokerage services for a lot of years. That brokerage service oversees our medical, dental, vision, life, workers' compensation insurances. We put that out to bid this year, and we received 10 proposals. We whittled that down to one company that we believe will be a very proactive insurance broker for us. We've had a lot of meetings with them. They're claiming to be able to save the city substantial money in the near future. Their fee is $34,992 a year, which is an increase, but we're hoping that the offset is going to more than take care of that additional cost to the city.
Right.
So staff.
I would just point out, we met with them last week, and they analyzed our prescription plan and just went through it in a way that previous broker had not done, and identified tens of thousands of dollars that the city's going to be able to save kind of out of the gate. So
the increase in their annual fees will be hopefully offset by...
It will be, I think, because again, it's a slight increase over what we've been paying, but I think that the service we're going to get is so much better. Yeah, you can't even compare it. I mean, we're going to, I think just based on that first meeting with them, I wouldn't blink an eye at their fees right now, because one, I think that they look to be fairly comparable with our other two kind of top firms we'd identified, so they're not expensive overall. I just think that Wells Fargo had kept us at a lower rate for a while, but we're finding now that as we became dissatisfied with service, there's even service things that we didn't realize weren't there that they weren't doing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that they're so far worth every penny based on our first few meetings with them.
Who is USI? Is that just a large corporation that...
They're big enough that they really focus on our size of market. They're not a firm that goes after employers that have 5,000 people. They really are sized to our kind of market. So they're big enough to where when they go out for like a third-party insurer, they have quite a few groups that they work with. They have a pretty good connections out in the world. They have a pretty good depth chart. We do get enough expertise to be able to really be sophisticated with the plan, but when you meet with them, they seem like they're really hands-on. They're here a lot. They're meeting with HR staff a lot. The reporting we're getting from them, is like the Health Insurance Committee, a lot better information than we've ever gotten before. So, I would say in the very short amount of time we've worked with them, I've been really impressed by the service that we've seen. I'm sorry, I just want to jump in on the prescription thing. Do you have anything else you wanted to add, Matt?
That's about it.
Okay, council, does anybody else have any other questions? Then may I have a motion, please?
Make a motion approving USI as the insurance broker for the city of Cortez.
I second.
Carlson?
Aye.
McLaughlin?
Aye.
Archibald?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Sheik?
Aye. All right, item G, resolution number 7, series 2018, the Cortez Community Network Pilot Program. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Mike?
Last meeting, you authorized the CCN to start with a pilot project where we have fiber, we would be installing it in people's homes. We need to set some rates, so that's what this resolution does. Council sets the fees and rates for everything in the city, so that's why we're here. We may be back with more, we may be back with changes, because this is a pilot program, but that's all we're doing here is just asking you to approve the resolution setting these fees.
The ONT rental fee of $10 a month, does that include in some sort of insurance?
What is
In
that?
case it breaks? There'll be the unit in the house.
Is it the black box?
Yeah, I think so, right? Yeah.
Yep, so Rick's jumping up. Yeah, it's, there is the idea that if it broke, the city would replace it. The money we receive will accumulate to be higher than what that equipment costs. So as it needs breaks or needs replaced, we would have that money built up to do that.
I guess my question would be, what happens if it burns up when it's in the house, that insurance?
It burns up in the house?
Or somebody steals it? We didn't think about.
Well, I would think if somebody steals it, it'd be part of the home insurance. Rick?
Is that something that we can, I mean, are you charging them that $10 a month to provide the city with some cushion to keep replacing units or whatever, or is that something where we can charge it to if a customer would choose to just buy it outright at whatever the cost, and maybe a minor markup would be?
The customer premise equipment that we're talking about is it's what drives the unit. So we chose to rent the item out. You could sell it, but there's other reasons that we want to put it in a rental because of the electronics. You never know how long they're going to last and so forth.
And this just is a pilot program.
Right,
So
right.
buying it as of right now might not.
Yeah,
make
and it's
any
typical,
sense.
if you look on your current bills and whatnot, you'll see a modem charge, or you'll see a router charge or something like that. That's what this piece is customer premise equipment.
So do you feel like we need some sort of guarantee from the people doing the pilot program if there is a problem with the equipment? I.e., they break it, is that something that we can go
Yeah,
back
the
and charge
terms
them
and
for?
conditions that our honorable attorney came up with covers the equipment in the case of, neglect, abuse, those kinds of things, but the city still needs to maintain the equipment.
So even if it's the customer's negligence, we still replace it?
Well, we need to make the system work,
Okay,
but we
okay.
would be able to bill him for
And-
that,
and-
yeah.
And so by billing it out monthly, it gives you the money to be able to do that if that happens. Well, is there at any point where, if this happens more than one time?
I'm sorry, Karen, I couldn't hear you.
Let's, and maybe this would never happen, I don't know. But is there any point, let's say you have a customer who just is not careful with the equipment, and they've broken several of them. Is there a cutoff point where we just say, the next one's on you, you have to pay for it outright?
I suppose you could do that, or you could look at them and say, maybe you want to go find another provider or something like that. But the neat thing about this is the same electronics and equipment that all the providers will be using. So to be on our network, we have to have the correct equipment to talk back to the head end.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what does one of those cost, new?
The GigaCenter costs about $264. And then the other traditional ONTs go up from there. And we've had conversations, for example, an 8-unit ONT for a multi-dwelling unit such as an apartment, they cost about $2,300. So it kind of scales back depending on what it is. So The Giga Center, like I say, is $268, and that includes a UPS that powers the equipment, and also provides 911 services to cases and outage, so.
And I think, if I remember the discussions correctly, we looked at useful life, because these things don't go forever, and so we were recovering the cost of the unit through the rental.
But it'll take you over 2 years to recover the cost.
Right. And what did you say the useful life was about, Rick?
The equipment?
Yeah.
They're always constantly changing, but 5 to 7 years is about all you're going to get out of the customer premise equipment, if that much. Their generations are coming so fast. For example, this network we're running on is a gig service. The next generation's already rolling out, and it's going to be 10 gig service. So it's just a constant thing. So the beauty of the network is the fiber in the ground doesn't get changed. That's good for 40, 50 years. Mm-hmm. It's the electronics on both ends that drive it and change constantly.
That's where your costs come in, your real costs come in, okay.
And I know there's going to be, this pilot program, there's going to be a ton of things just logistically to work out, and I'm just trying to think a little ahead on that. The other thing I thought about the other day, and Mike, maybe you can answer this, or be more to the point on this one, is the customer, regardless of if this was in full swing or if it's just a pilot program, are they responsible for the line from the street into their house?
What we are presently doing, and Rick can correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe he changed it yesterday, but I'm not sure, is they were digging the ditch, we were coming in and putting the piece of conduit in, it's like that orange stuff you see rolled up around. Sure. Then we were running the line in, it's our line, and we maintain it, they give us an easement.
But I mean, from a legal standpoint,
it's ours.
Let's say they hit it. This is in their yard. They're making another trench for a sprinkler system, and they hit it.
And they cut the line.
They're going to end up paying to fix it.
Okay, that was my other question. Thank you.
And I would add to City Council, since we've spoken, I think I'm up to about a dozen people waiting to get on the pilot already. So.
All right.
Good deal. And,
Rick,
and that's without even any advertising, right?
Rick, in the process of putting that line down, do you guys go out and do locates for them? How does that work so they don't hit it?
Yes, we advise, for example, the homeowner to do the line locates, and that gives 3 days for locations. So yes, line locates are always done. Private property, we still request that they get that done. They're digging the ditch, but we're providing materials. And to Ty's point earlier, we demark services at that customer premise equipment, whether that be on the side of the house or in the house.
So for that fee for the $150, what's that say, $150 for the first 250?
For first and material cost, $250.
For the first 250.
No, 250 feet.
Because you got
Right,
inches
I'm sorry,
here.
yeah.
It's
$150
inches. It's got
for
inches
up to
here.
250 feet, so if they're
And that
300
needs to be
feet-
changed. There's 2 little Sotskis in there, and there should only be 1. That's a mistake.
So right here, you got 150 feet, $150 for 250 inches.
It's 250 feet. It's a typo, sir.
But I was going to say for that 150, is that high enough or whatever to go drill? Because you're going to have to drill holes in the house, right? To get that cable in and everything?
The new equipment can go different ways, but yeah, eventually you need to get in the house, whether it comes in the crawl space and then pops up, or it could go through the ceiling, or it can be mounted just on an outside wall.
Yeah, but either way, if you're going to be drilling on the house, what kind of liability is the city?
They have a sign off that
Like a hold harmless?
pretty much.
What we have, we're going to send this up to CIRSA. We've got a packet, and I've been speaking with Dawn, and as soon as we get the packet final tomorrow, Thursday, we will be giving that to Dawn to look at for insurance. We'll be giving it, for another example, to Kathy Moss for billing. We'll be giving it Rick will be looking at it, so we're moving forward through all the involved departments. But we will have insurance to cover employee mistakes.
I would add too that the city's been doing that all along ever since we started. That's not unique to the pilot.
But it's, when we've been doing it before, it's $150.
I'm sorry,
Plenty?
I can't hear you, Order.
I was going to say, when you've been doing it before, $150 for installation, is that plenty?
We have charged $150 for the fiber drop and then on up. I think that's what your question was.
Yeah, and I don't think that,
labor-wise.
I don't think that fee is gonna totally make us whole. I think we're really trying to hit a place of being, getting at least partial recovery for the installation, for the city's time and effort, but we're not trying to make it exactly work out, because I think we would price ourselves out of the market, and a lot of times, you know, other places that you receive service from, you're not necessarily paying all their time and material either to do that. So, yeah, to be clear, that 150 isn't going to make us whole. I think that's it's what we've historically charged. One thing that is different with this pilot is, unlike the fiber to the business, these folks are kind of trenching themselves in. So this is probably a better cost recovery than we've had with the fiber to the business model heretofore. So that's about right, Rick?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
And this is, I guess, the magic words, a pilot program. And I think as Rick's crews get more adept at installations and know what they're getting into, the price may, go down, go up. I don't know. That's, we're going into the middle of a house with this new system as compared to just at the wall on the businesses. So there may be some differences going on. We'll probably be back to you, much like some of the other projects we've done, for modifications and adjustments and updates.
Well, I, for one, am really glad to see that we've moved forward on this quickly. That it hasn't gotten bogged down, and like sometimes things do, to be sure that we're protecting ourselves, but it's nice that we're at a point where we're close to being ready to go, so that's great. All right, are there any other questions?
I got one more question.
Yes.
All this, it says digging and trenching, is there any overhead?
Aerial? You mean
Yeah,
aerial?
uh-huh.
Yeah, there is some aerial construction.
Okay, good, I was gonna say, good.
Yeah.
If it did happen to my house, there's no place to dig. I got concrete, you know what I'm saying?
But
The access agreement,
already-
the access agreement is set up for either aerial or trenching.
So are there places that we are hanging the fiber on the electric poles then, for this project?
Yeah, phase two.
To the house.
The Phase 2 project that we're constructing right now has a couple aerial routes, and off of those will be served by way of aerial drops. The Pro Shop, for example, is one that we've already built, going in from...
So the aerial is off of an existing building, it's not off of a pole, a telephone pole?
It comes from a pole.
Electric line pole.
Comes from a pole, just like the electrical service, basically.
It'd be like the cable, and so they'd be paying a lease on the pole plus running it.
Okay, so it is on the electric pole, okay.
It's almost exactly like the cable TV
Right.
is the model
Okay.
that you think of.
All right. Well, if there are any other questions,
I've done, thanks, Rick, for answering.
may I have a motion? May I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve I believe I'm reading this right because it's different here. I'm going to read the one off the paper because I think it's a little more concise. I make a motion to approve resolution number 7, series 2018, setting fees and charges for the city of Cortez's Cortez Community Network Pilot, CCN.
But this has to be changed to 250 feet.
It will be changed to 250
okay.
feet.
Yeah, with changes duly noted.
And
Like the inches.
Thank you.
Keel.
Aye.
McLaughlin. Aye. Lucero.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Sheep.
aye. All right.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Thanks, Rick.
And you'll periodically come back and report to us how many customers you have? I think maybe we should have a giant thermometer down there at the service center, or maybe even in the reception hall that shows our progress. All right, we have no draft resolutions or ordinances. We have no other items of business. At this time, is there anybody in the audience that would like to step up and speak to council? Yes? He's just faking you, let me tell you. He has no intention of getting up.
I know that Jill and Sean are getting ready to go home. But no, I'm kidding. But I wanted to thank the Parks and Rec Department for allowing the March for Life student-led rally this weekend to hold their rally at the city park. It was very well attended. It was very well done. The students were very respectful. They did a great job. I counted over 350 people when I was watching them march by, and it was a good job. And I just wanted to thank the city and the Parks and Rec for allowing that to go on, and I think it was a great deal. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lance.
Thanks. And thanks for the students who chose to participate too. It's nice to see young people who become civically engaged. Is no attorney's report at this time. Shane?
Yes, Your Honor. So just a few things. One is a reminder, on April 5th, we have the Firewise meeting here at City Hall from 5:30 to 7. So it's going to just be, I think a nice presentation from Firewise and the fire department on for homeowners to become aware of things they can do to make their homes a little bit safer. We'll also talk a little bit about like the ditch bank and some other areas where the city owns some property and just kind of the mitigation we've done or that we will do. Also that evening we have our urban farming committee from 5 to 6. So I'm sad to say I'm going to only make 30 minutes of that meeting because I've got a Firewise meeting. But
it's that same night, okay.
yes, same night. Secondly, as of last night, we have received 997 ballots. So again, as a reminder, the election is 1 week from tonight. Putting on my Rotary hat, this Saturday we have an Easter egg hunt in City Park. It's at 10 a.m. And so, like I said before, at 10:02, people are getting in their cars. So if you're not there on time, you can just watch everybody leave. But I invite the whole community. We have basically we'll have 3 different areas. We have the 0 to 3-year-olds, the 4 to 6-year-olds, and the 7 to 10-year-olds. So, I've got Mr. Lucero's a Rotarian and Mayor Sheik's a Rotarian. So it's a fun time. So hopefully we see everybody out there. And then what is last year? Oh yeah, a reminder, we have the Maqueda Summit on April 25th. So if you do want to attend that, please talk to Peyton Heitzman. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. I know you have a committee report.
I do.
And it's your last one.
And it is.
So, drum roll, please.
All right. Park and Rec meeting was held on March 23rd, and some of the items that were presented and discussed, some of these are repeats, but because we've talked about them already in the meeting as we went through the meeting today. Arbor Day celebration, April 19th, 12:30 to 2 p.m. at Park DeVita Amphitheater. Another repeat was we talked. Ken Quigley was unanimously recommended by the advisory board to serve on the board, and we approved that this evening. Some other items: great GOCO Great Outdoors Grant for land acquisition of the old high school site for a future community park on the south side of town. Money will be used to purchase 11 acres of property for the park. Another item, Dean handed out a community park trail open space maps and a bike lane striping map from last year to show board members the park open space and trail systems in Cortez. Dean wanted the board members to review maps and look for trail connectivity possibilities around the community community, and Dean also said there was a lot of strong evidence that, when you have a healthy community, when you have lots of trails and bike trails and where the people can walk, jog, bike, created a healthier community, and I would think it would be a more desirable place for people to locate in. Dean also introduced Pete Eschelier. Is that how you pronounce that? Pete Eschelier? Pete Eschelier and Chris White to the board. Pete and Chris were there to represent the local BMX and requested that a designated sign for Cortez BMX be erected by the BMX site, pump track area, as there is no sign at the present time. And that was my meeting. Or I wasn't there, but Dean gave me the minutes. Hey, I'm not busted. Hey, I wasn't able to attend. You can spank me, bust me, whatever you want. That's the way it was.
Listen,
okay?
I think you've got the height advantage on us.
But I think I got. Did I get everything across, Dean? All right. Good job. You're welcome.
Thank you. Does anybody else have a committee meeting report?
Golf Advisory's first meeting of the year is tomorrow.
All right.
So I'll inform you guys in a couple of weeks.
All right, well, I have 2 meetings to report on. I can just hope I can read my writing. It's been a little while. You can help me with this in case I... Cortez Cultural Center, the budget was approved, and they are in the black this year, which is really nice. The county commissioners gave them a grant totaling $27,000, which will supposedly should cover the dances this year. And they did report that the sales in the gift shop have been down, but they think probably part of that may be just because the weather has not been conducive to winter visitors coming here for skiing, and so they haven't had the traffic flow that they ordinarily have. Foreign travel is also down, which I find interesting. I didn't realize we had much foreign travel here during the wintertime anyway. But
and Mayor, I'm sorry, but for that grant from the commissioners, was that out of the lodging tax? Is that where they?
I don't, it was at the lodger's tax that they got it from? Okay. Okay, because all I have down here is just the county commissioner, so yes, it probably was from the lodging tax.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, it was. I now see the arrow that's leading up there. They're working with Empire Electric to get a bulb grant. They're going through and they are taking an inventory of all the light bulbs that are in the building and seeing what they've got and what they can swap out so that they can be more energy efficient. They have a number of programs and events coming up. April the 4th, they're slightly off-center tours that have been real successful. They're taking one in Arizona on the 4th through the 9th. They have 11 people registered already. I think Mike is one of those. On April the 4th, they have the Pueblo volunteer meeting. Patsy Brown Memorial will be on the 14th. They're looking for, I think they're looking for some food donations for that. Another volunteer meeting for Pueblo on the 25th, and then the actual event is the 28th. They have 25 registered for that event at this point. On May the 2nd, there is supposed to be a scholarship presentation that's made in Patsy Brown's memory. This year, in conjunction with Mesa Verde Country, the Cultural Center is doing 2 farm tours and 2 ranch tours. They've got farmers and ranchers both lined up. They're charging $100 per person. Tom Hayden, who's a longtime citizen in the community, is going to be one of the tour guide. The city, I believe, is donating a van for this. And what they'll be doing is taking the tourists out and giving them an opportunity to see what life on a rural farm or a ranch will be. They're hoping that these are successful. Apparently, the Colorado Tourism Board has actually been in contact with the Cultural Center to talk to them. If this is successful here, then this may be something that they promote some places in other places of the state. The Birding Festival is the 9th through the 13th. Are you driving?
I am driving.
Okay.
Helmets required for all passengers.
Is that because of the birds or the driver?
Birds.
Yeah, I see. They're going to have 3 preservation day tours that Linda Toll is conducting on May the 19th. On May the 19th, they're also having, at 7 o'clock, Midge Kirk, who has written a book entitled They Persisted. She's going to do a program called Her Story. The native dances start on May the 28th, and then there's a ranch tour on June the 8th. Hawkins will be having a wildflower tour on the 19th of May. And I think that's it for that.
Are your cultural center meetings once a month?
They're once a month and they last all morning long.
I thought you were going to say they last all month.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Well, remember, Your Honor, you got some council candidates here, so you really want to sell it this time about how.
That's 15 minutes long.
It is. I will tell you, I always kind of chuckled when Tim would give his reports because I know how long they lasted. My former business partner is now the president of that board, and it's surprising to me because she's one of these people who are, let's get this done. But the meetings just go on forever, but they're really, they've been enjoyable. They really have been. Then I went to the Mesa Verde Country meeting, and we're now holding those in the morning. And and Gail, or Jill, feel free to chime in anytime. I think Kelly and Candace are doing a great job down there. Our page views are up, our users are up, they're updating the Mesa Verde Country website. They've done some analysis to try to determine which pages are garnering the most attention so that they can add more detail to that. They've got almost 9,500 followers on Facebook, over almost 6,000 followers on YouTube viewing the Cortez video. There's a Dolores video, a Mancos video, a Mesa Verde Park video. They have Instagram and Twitter followers. I mean, it's amazing to me all of the things that they're doing to really promote this area. They are bringing a number of tours in here. Again, they've been working with the Cultural Center on both the farm and the ranch track tours. They have, refresh my memory, Jill, the FAM tours, that stands for what? Do you remember?
No.
They're familiarization tours. What they do is they bring people in who actually promote tours all over the world, and they bring them here to show them what we have in an effort to encourage them to book tours in this area.
Right. Yeah, so like a FAM tour will have, a travel writer. So whenever we get, in Sunset Magazine or, whatever it is about this great destination, is because we comp these writers to come out, we put them in a hotel, we take them on these tours, and yeah, so.
Well, the bribery never hurts.
Well, that's correct. It is straight quid pro quo. We're going to show you a great weekend, and you write a great article.
That's right. Lodger's tax and sales tax are up. One of the things that they are getting ready to do some research on is the vacation rental tour. Numbers of people in our community who are opening their homes for vacation rentals too, because there's a strong sense at this point that we've got enough people in the community that are doing this, that either because they're choosing not to in some cases, or because they simply don't know that they have an obligation to pay lodger's tax. And some organizations collect it, and then we don't know whether it ever gets down to the city. So they're really going to kind of do a deep dive on this and see what they can find out, because there are a number of local folks that are paying, and so in fairness to everybody,
they're paying to the organization that sponsors it, and it's not making its way to the city of Cortez.
So
VRBO is charging them a surcharge or withholding it from the city.
Mm-hmm. So we need to figure out why. What is it? Is there something the city needs to be doing that we're not doing?
Organization?
Yeah, it's actually a nationwide situation that they've been doing. It's
Sure.
not just the city. But yeah, I think it's
So like class
enough-
action stuff, or?
I don't know. I think enough attention's being called to it that
Okay.
there are some mechanisms in place way higher than the city of Cortez to address the situation.
Right, well, and it's also, you know, part of the challenge is I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, you know, if you've got Shauna is renting out her house, it's not going to be, you know, 1900 Center Street LLC. It's going to be like, you know, Shauna's Retirement Fund LLC or something crazy. And we're not, so even if she's remitting taxes under it, we really, you know, if we go on to VRBO and we're like, that's Shauna's house, the LLC that's remitting sales tax or lodging tax, we wouldn't necessarily know or connected. So it's really hard to piece it together and to know even that when we do get the sales taxes in, to make that connection back to the people remitting it. So it's, but I think from staff side, we looked on some HomeAway and VRBO and a third one, and we didn't see a whole lot of City of Cortez addresses. I think in Montezuma County, as you go out, there's more, but at least our quick search in the city, we didn't find that many people in the city limits that were actually doing this.
But since Mesa Verde Country gets, a lot of that funding comes from the lodger's tax, which comes from the county too.
Right.
So if there's a lot of that going on in the county, then.
Right,
So-
right. Yeah, so anyway, we did look into it from a staff side to see if it was kind of an epic issue with the city, and it, at least our cursory search didn't lend to think that it was really a City of Cortez issue as much as maybe a
Just a
larger
county
county issue.
Well, and I say with my folks, they weren't in last year's publication, and it was because they paid their taxes to VRBO. Didn't realize that, and so this year, they worked with Candace to make sure they were in there and said, hey, here's our taxes, but I think that's a way to incentivize people to pay the taxes, because then they don't get in the advertising collateral unless they are paying lodger's tax, so.
All right, moving on. The workshop. Very quickly, we had the opportunity to meet our new mechanic, Taylor Gustafson. We're glad to have him on board, and I think he's happy to be here. We had a really nice presentation from Jeff Christensen updating us on the Phil's World expansion, and there were lots of ins and outs. They've looked at this expansion practically every which way they can to try to come up with ways to meet everybody's needs, and I'm hoping maybe at some point we'll actually continue to build out the trails and move on and be finished with the study part of it. There was a discussion about the Makeda Summit, which we heard about earlier. There was a discussion about the cleanup day and the fact that the tipping fees that have been waived in the past for garbage that's been collected in the city, the county has chosen not to do that this year. However, the city really feels that in the interest of good community relations, that it's probably just a good idea to go ahead and not worry about who's dumping trash where, just collect it and take it to the dump where it belongs. Shane spent a nice amount of time giving us an overview of some of the next steps for City Council as we plan to find his replacement. And we will be developing a profile and meeting next Tuesday at 6:30. Council members, I will try to. I will send Linda, for those of you that are candidates, I will send Linda a reminder to send out, and I will send council members a reminder that we'll be meeting at 6:30 Tuesday to talk about that. There was a nice thank you note from Tim Miller's family, and that's it. Is there anything else for the good of the city?
It is all good, let's go.
We're done. Gosh, I can't believe all of the dates here for stuff, meetings to go to.
Hey, Tom, I think the thing is, I think about the loss on those units that we rent. It's something about what we look at.
Oh, okay.
We don't do anything like this.
Right, yeah.
This is totally new.